Okay, yeah. Okay. Sorry for the wait. It's quite common of me to do slides a night before. Yeah. I think a lot of times it's so last 10 minutes you see before I think I'll still be rushing out my slides and everything. Even in the morning when I was on the way here, I was on the phone with a developer to find out a bit more about how these regulations will change and everything. So a disclaimer first. We are not the developer side whereby we know the very fine details about stuff. So what we are using is the new regulations, and then we are trying to use it on the sales angle to help you speak to your clients and see how the market will move forward. So later, if you all have questions, don't ask me the very technical questions. If I can answer, I'll answer. If not, there are a lot of things that are not written in the guidelines, more so on practice of developers, how much they have to pay for the extra GFA and everything. I know a bit, not all. So disclaimer first, okay? So I just want to share with you with the latest URA GFA regulation, the new guidelines, right? To us, of course, the government is actually out there in the news saying that this is not a cooling measure. The latest report came out to say it's not a cooling measure by design, meaning to say they didn't design this thing to be a cooling measure, but more so to improve the living of Singaporeans in this area. But if you look at it, it is almost like a final nail in the coffin for the entire property market. So we saw a certain trend from 2017 onwards, and this trend seems to be quite accurate. We run through some of the trends before I run through the details of the new regulations, okay? So you see the first one, before the 5th of July measures, we saw these news articles that came up to shake the market. I use these slides a lot. We use these slides to sell buyers. We push them to purchase because Morgan Stanley seems like they like to come out with a lot of reports saying that prices are going up and stuff. So we use it a lot until today, or maybe recently, when we see Morgan Stanley, we start to be a bit scared. Okay, so you see this first, on 14 April, and I have to praise Tony's newsroom. I can pull out all these high-res articles so fast because of Evernote. I just have to on it, I search my keyword, all the articles are out, all in ascending order. So you see 14 April 2017, they said that the prices will increase. 30th June, MAS came out with a warning, right, on 2017. So a few months later, they said that no unwinding of property cooling measures by MAS. That is a warning that they are watching the property market. And then on the September 2017, or in 17, Morgan Stanley add in another report to say that the prices are expected to increase by about 10%. Then 1st December, you see every few months they are taking turns to play ping pong. The MAS will come up with something to say that they are watching again, right? So you see in the year you have an alternate report from Morgan Stanley saying price will increase, MAS come out with warning, Morgan Stanley say again, MAS come out with warning. Then of course in 7 December, I think this was a very big warning. They say that the Singapore properties bull ignores MAS warning into 2018. It's like saying that it's a very defiant move by the property market. Okay, and then in 9th of January, they came out with a lot more. So actually, if you have been tracking, I think this newsroom allows us to track a lot better because they're all consolidated in a way. And with that, actually, we can use it to read the property market a lot closely. So because a lot of news have been coming out to warn on the market, and probably somebody, if have been tracking this, they will have already seen that some cooling measures will come in already. So on 9th January this year, they came out and they say that they are watching developers now on the loans, right? And on 5th July, before the cooling measures came out in the evening, in the daytime, they already released 2 articles. On Business Times, they say that the property market is put on notice by MAS already. On Straits Times, they say be wary of the euphoria in the property market. And then 5 p.m., they came out with the cooling measures. You all remember that fateful day, right? That day where all of us didn't get to sleep, most of us. Okay, and then 5th July, they came out with a statement of the new cooling measures. So what we saw was a ping pong of Morgan Stanley, MAS, Morgan Stanley, MAS, and then they hit us with a cooling measure. So what happened? Okay, this one you all know, 6th July, there was a frenzy and everything. Then what happened after that? Is it a recurring trend or is it coincidence? So let's see what happened after cooling measures. On 12th October 2018, they came out with this statement. And I can tell you, when we saw this news article, when I was talking to developers, we were all quite scared. Because after cooling measure, they still say they are watching the property market closely. And this is a very irritating sentence, watching the property market closely. And that's a very famous term that they like to use. So on 13 October, you can see that Morgan Stanley again come out with a news article, right? Curbs won't cool private home prices by Morgan. Why always them? So you see this always, and it's back to back, 12 October, 13 October, Morgan Stanley say. And then 13 October, they release his Business Times to say that they will see an 8% home price increase again, right? And then of course, on the 15th of October, which is every 15th of the month, URA will release statistics out, right? The sales of developers, every 15th they will release. How is the sales like? So on 15th October, they came out with a news article on URA data saying that our new private home sales bounced back by 51% increase to 932 units. And again, this is a very defiant move by the market again. So what is next? Immediately on 17th October, URA released the new latest guidelines to curb this entire thing. So if you ask me whether there's a trend moving on, there is. And I can tell you, even after this, they will still be watching. Okay? And of course, back end, we already know that the COH is actually doing a lot of audit check on developers nowadays, on your reissue cases and everything, right? So this is something that is going to be coming down soon also. So these are things that are coming up. And let's see. This is very small. I will go into details on what are the measures, the new guidelines. You all have already read through the guidelines, right? Have you all? You all know inside out of the guidelines already? Some, Okay, so you see, I'll just skip through all this. You all can read. I'll send out the slides later. Of course, they cause the property market prices, the property market shares to drop. Anyway, the shares have been falling across all counters also now. Okay, so what is the first one? There are 3 guidelines that change. Okay, there's a revision to 3 guidelines. Number one is, of course, this one is the most impactful to ours. So what's happening is that this is a revision to the maximum number of allowable dwelling units, which we'll use a term called DU in the presentation, in non-landed. And please note that this is only for outside your central region. And this part of the central region, I'll show you the map later. We just see what happened. So previous guidelines, first in 2012, URA actually introduced the same to moderate the excessive number of shoebox units. 2012, they released once. Okay, and that's when they released that the maximum number of DUs is using your permissible GFA. GFA divided by 70 square meters. So in layman term, it just simply means my land area, my land size, times my plot ratio, I'll get my GFA, right? That's the space I can build in air, right? So plot ratio allows you to increase and build in air, right? Divide by 70 square meters, that will determine the maximum number of units I can build in a development. Okay, that is a simple rule. Okay, and that was in 2012. So during 2012, they also have 4 areas that are more stringent, which is your Telok Kurau, Kovan, Joo Chiat, and Jalan Eunos. So these 4 areas will being curbed by 100 square meters instead of 70 square meters. So meaning to say these areas, when they develop new projects, right, the number of units are actually fewer. And if you look at these 4 areas, do you realize that these areas are very cramped and with small roads and very high density? So that's why they have chosen these 4 areas. Is mainly to address the capacity of your local infrastructure, right? So which is arising from new developments. So if they don't curb this, can you imagine Telok Kurau from the landed properties, they en bloc and they change it to apartments, how much jam will cause through a one-way street in the small roads of the Lorong K, all this. So that's why they came out with this thing, to make sure that the number of units are not so many and the sizes are bigger. Okay, so this is more for, like, that they have no wrong in doing this. They have no wrong in doing this. And of course, recently with the en bloc, you also realize LTA stepped into the picture already, right? With the recent craze in en bloc, they are coming in to step into the picture now that you have an additional permit that you need to apply. Last time in en bloc, when we want to apply for new sites, right, all we have to do is we get our PP, WP, BP, then you can get you can launch your projects, right? Your share value, you can launch your projects. Now they add in one more, I think they call it the OPP or OP, something along that line, right? That is for them to apply to LTA to make sure that the congestion will not be caused by new increase of number of units. So these are things that are coming in, and I can tell you all the authorities of different areas are watching this entire thing. Okay, so this is the previous guideline. Let's look at the central region first. I went to study the central region. I want you to know that they are using the central region term a bit loosely. It doesn't mean your central region is your CCR, the usual CCR that you have, which includes your district 1, 2, 4, 1, 4, 9, 10, 11. This one doesn't. When you study this entire map, you realize that the central region for this guideline itself, okay, that means this area is exempted from your minimum, the maximum number of dwelling units. That means you are not garnered by that. So you can have this stretch is from Balmoral Road, Anderson, Tanling, hitting down all the way towards, I cannot see it, but it's cutting out from your it's cutting out all the way from your Tanling, hitting down all the way to Outram, your Chinatown area, and then cutting down to your Marina Bay area and cut out at your Marina Bay and before you hit into the East Coast area. So this central region is actually a very small part. Developments that are going in here will not be governed by the new URA. You all got coupon? Okay, so this small little area will not be governed by any URA guidelines for the building part. Okay, this is going to be very technical. So far, you all understand? You all need to understand before I can carry on. Questions? You all got any questions on this part first? I think it's inside. It's inside. Beach Road is inside. Okay, so later when I show you some of the maps, because we are working on this on a very short timeline to give you updated info, what I'll do is this thing will be passed on to the project in charge, and they will start plotting the projects within the maps itself, so that you all will know which are the projects that will fall inside this site, the 100 square meters, how you can push for sales, right? Because this will help you push for sales in the current market. Okay? I thought SRI Decal get the half price. Oh. Okay, so I think we carry on. This is the revised guideline. Okay, so I broke it down into more palatable sizes so you understand. So for now, instead of 70 square meters, it will become 85 square meters. Okay, so down here, like I say, maximum number of units is calculated by your plot ratio times your land size, divide by 85 square meters to get you the total number of units maximum. Okay, so this is a simple, very simple calculation. You also need to put, I think it's too late, bro. I say quite long ago already. Okay, so let's move on to see. Okay, so previously we have the 4 areas, right? The Telok Kurau and your Eunos area. From now, the new guideline will increase your 4 to a total of 9 areas. So 9 areas, later I'll go through which are the 9 areas. So this one will be divided by 100 square meters instead of 75. How big is the impact? The impact is huge. From 70 to 85 square meter, the impact is already quite huge. Okay, when I was speaking to a developer just now, okay, so you see, there are 2 ways of calculating this thing. Under a planning consideration of a developer, first I'll calculate this to know number of units I can build. Right? When I know the number of units I can build, I have to adhere to the average square meters, right? I will then do, usually what we do, if we have an Excel, that we will play around with the figures. Meaning to say, we will offhand first determine how many 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, the sizes that we want to build. And from there, we'll start to pull down or pull up. Okay? So meaning to say, if I want to build more small units, I will then have more extreme big units so that I balance on both sides. Then the middle will stay about the same. So if what you saw the trend in Affinity and Riverfront, you saw in Enrich Hills, why are there so many strata houses, about 40, 50 strata houses, so that more small units can be built? Because when you have the strata houses, you build up to about 2,000 plus square feet, right? You can then afford to have a lot of 400 plus square feet, 500 square feet, 600 square feet units. Right? So that's how developers do. So if you ask, how is it going to affect, for example, let's say, for example, Affinity. How is it going to affect their 1 bedroom? If with this new guideline, will that one bedroom be a lot higher or a lot lower? This one, nobody can tell you, because we need to sit down and we need to do a simulation. I can still do up the same number, the same size of the one bedroom, but I will have super big units on the other end, right? But if I don't want to be stuck with the super big units, I want to play it down, then my one bedroom sizes will increase. I may not even have one bedroom already. So end of the day, there will still be a lot of options for you to weigh around just to hit this requirement. Okay, but high chance your one bedrooms, they will not be risking themselves with too big units because of the regulation. They need to clear units as fast as they can. So either you risk yourself having 5 years not to clear all the units in the development with even one big unit inside there, or you balance out and have very sizable 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms that is more popular to sell the development fast. You all understand this part? Right? So I may want to have sales on the 1 bedroom, but if I get stuck, I'm still stuck because you are required to sell all the units within 5 years, right? So that is all these regulations come in, developer tao tiao. So on a very simple call to a developer, I ask, based on 85 square meters, based on 85 square meters, they are saying now with a simulation that they did, the smallest size that they can go on a very logical basis have to be about 600 to 650 square feet already. So what does this mean? You don't have your 1 bedroom and your 1 plus study anymore. You maybe can squeeze a bigger 1 plus study, but you won't go all the way. With 600, you'll probably start building 2 bedroom compact and onwards already. So that is almost in the whole of Singapore except the central region. You see what I mean? So if they are going to start building 600 square feet and above to make it easier for them to sell, that means 1 bedroom will become a limited edition soon. Okay? And then let's talk about 100 square meters. This one even worse. These 100 square meters, when they play around with a simulation last night, they just did a simulation, and I was lucky because on the call, they shared with me. They say on 100 square meters, high chance the minimum entry size will be about 800 to 850 square feet. The smallest they can go. So meaning to say, in these 9 areas, you may not have even 2 compact. You may not even have 2 premium. You may squeeze 2 premium inside. Okay? But high chance a lot of them will fall within your 3 bedrooms and above already. So your Telok Kurau small units are really going to become limited edition. Really, with 100 square meters, you can forget about finding 400 square feet anymore. You get what I mean? Right? So that is the implication that will come into this area. So that's why when we study, I'm going to tell the project ICs, out of the 9 areas, if you can start plotting the new launches inside, or maybe with this map, you all can go and also see the resale units that you are selling, right? It's going to help you push your sales on, because when you have this kit, when you find a map and you are selling a unit in this resale or project that you are selling, we just plot it within that one of the 9 areas, and you are selling a small unit, 1 or 2 bedrooms, you can tell them this is really a limited edition. If you don't get it now, you won't expect to get it anymore already in future, unless they tweak it along. Unless developers think of a new way to beat the system again. It's like y'all, right? CA come up with things, y'all beat the system. ABSD come up, y'all also come think of new things, right? So human brains are quite amazing. For now, we take it as this is, okay? As it is first. Again, y'all have any questions on this first before I go on to the next slide? Because I know it's a bit technical. Even until now, I also don't 100% understand the whole thing, but probably a lot more because I'm speaking to developers. So y'all have any questions on this before I move on? Don't have, And feel free to ask, and not a lot of people here today. Yeah, okay, initially I thought that there's still a possibility whereby we do a seesaw, right? We play around. But like I say, once I get, because it is not building one big unit and I can build a lot of small units. It's a lot of big units, okay? And then a lot more small units. So I, as a developer, it doesn't make sense for me to risk, say, for example, now your 50 strata units. That one may be a problem, You see, for example, if I have 50 strata units and they're not going to clear within the 5 years, I'm going to be paying tax on my entire land price that I paid for. I have to clear every single unit. You all get what I mean? So it's very hard for them to build big to cater to small. I think for me to spread my risk across, I will go for really more 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, and I'll just go with that already. So that means I will go on a lower PSF, higher quantum, to achieve my entire GDV, the development value that I want to make, and I may just go with that already. So developers, I believe they will not take such a risk. Because if we build very big very big to cater to very small, it is more short-sighted to have a good sales at the start. But after that, 2, 3 years, 4 years later, I will suffer big time. Man. So I would rather probably run a very steady sales across the 5 years, right? It's like the tortoise and the rabbit race. Either you'll be a tortoise or you'll be a hare, then you burn out at the end. So then again, of course, some of the people will be saying that, hey, if cannot sell at the end, then maybe developers, they have special vehicles to buy back and everything. But I can tell you, public listed companies cannot do that. And a lot of these big developments are all public listed companies, right? So smaller developers, they have more free play to play around, but they are usually on the smaller plots, which doesn't make a difference anymore, right? Smaller plots, they probably all go with 2, 3, 4 bedrooms already. So that is a trend that we see. But again, once we hear any updates, if there are new patterns coming out, we'll let you all know. Okay, so let's carry on to the next one first. These are the 9 areas. You have Marine Parade, you have Joo Chiat, Telok Kurau is the same, Balestier is in, Stevens, Chancery, Pasir Panjang is in as well, Kovan, Hausan, Shelford, and Loyang. So these 9 areas, again, you can see they are the congested areas, right? And it's only right that they do that. Okay, so these areas, if you are marketing any units there, the small ones, you can have a very big chance to push for it already. A very, very big chance, because they are going to be very, very limited. And if the implementation starts on 17 January, so the implementation will only start on 17 January, right? Once the implementation starts, and you realize that the developers are launching of bigger units, I can tell you your resale sellers are not silly. They will probably start to jack up their prices, so knowing that there's going to be a limited edition in that area. So if you want to push buyers to commit, you probably need to talk to them. You need to talk to them now. Okay, so let's look at the areas. The map is a bit too small for you to see, but this entire area, you probably have seaside residences inside there already, right? So your seaside 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms are going to be super attractive because it's 100 square meters. And then you have your Joo Chiat Mountbatten. Very big plot, this one. I think this one very highly congested in this whole area, right? Go and look at a map. What you do is you key in, what I'll do is I'll key in into Street Directory or maybe Google Map the development I'm selling or the project, and I'll just put it side by side to see whether it falls into this area. Okay, the project ICs will do it for the project site, and we'll soon release to you all to let you know which are the projects you should target. Then you can use this as a selling angle, keep in your phone, keep the slides in your phone. Anytime you talk to buyer, you can whip it out and show them already. You understand? Okay. You have Telok Kurau, Jalan Eunos. This one needless to say, Telok Kurau, all this while has been like that. Okay, you have Balestier. We have one upcoming launch by Oxley, right? That's the one. Balestier, they're lucky. They submitted their PP, they approved already. So they skip. So that means that development may sell well on that launch. Right, they're lucky they got it already. Yeah, so they're in already. So this one all the way from Ah Hood to Thomson to Tan Tock Seng Link, Momen side. So it will affect your 12, 11, and 12 area. You have your Stevens and Chancery, Dunyan Road. I don't know whether all green projects are inside. Maybe not. But Balmoral Road, I think maybe there's probably will hit. Because they got 2 more plots. Don't know whether 4 inside here. Okay, and then you have Pasir Panjang. ENRICH is definitely inside. So later we'll do a case study on the ENRICH portion. So Pasir Panjang is only a very small stretch that's facing your Greater Southern Waterfront. So you can see sometimes why they are doing this, because sooner or later when this entire site, this is your PSA port now, right? When this one becomes a Greater Southern Waterfront for recreation purposes in future, you'll probably have a lot of traffic traveling through these routes. And if your density is not kept well properly, the whole area is just going to jam up. So they suddenly increased. Pasir Panjang wasn't in the radar in the first place. So from a 70 square meter to 100 square meter, they are reducing number of units inside there by 30%. Right, 70 to 85, they are reducing by about 18%. And that's a huge cut in the number of units. So you see, this looking at the more macro picture also, right? This one actually shows how fast they react, because there has been talk in the market of oversupply because of the number of lands coming in, right? Correct? So actually this one, they have already almost cut about 18 to 30% of units coming into the market. Because the lands have been sold, they cannot do anything. The units will come in. So they are very smart. That's why the scholars are all up there. They cut you by 18 to 30% nowadays. So whatever incoming lands, you won't have that number of big number of units. The whole market will be cut by They are curbing the oversupply problem as well. Huh? Okay, then we have. Hang on. Yeah, I think I talk about the government. Probably gonna bug the Kovan, Hausan area. Hausan, we have some new launches coming out in the area. So we also need to check whether these developers have obtained their PP already. No? Huh? Okay, and then of course, Shelford, very small area. Shelford is a very small area. And then Loyang. Don't know whether Changi Gardens is inside or not. So these are some things that we are thinking. Let us go and plot according to the map and let you know soon. Okay? Okay, so far you understand the 85 and 100. So far we only covered the 85 and 100. Let's go deeper in a few things. This one, you all may not understand, but later when I show you the calculation, it will be easier to understand. What they say here is that strata landed units are actually excluded from your total GFA before you divide by the 85 or 100. So for example, if I got say 10 strata houses of 200 square meters, 10 means minus 2,000. Right? Yeah. So my total GFA, I'll minus 2,000 before I divide to get the total number of residential units. Understand? Okay. But then that's my total number of residential units. But if I want to add my strata units, this one complicated. I think I don't. Okay, later. Okay. So okay, this is another thing. A lot of people haven't seen this. A lot of developers also haven't seen this because when I ask them, they say, "God, man, got this fine print, man." You read this. This is very important. Okay, development 20% of the DUs. Okay, you can see. You have 20% net area at least 100 square meters, and a maximum of 20% of units that are 50 square meters and below. Okay, so meaning to say, your bottom and top, they also cap already. Okay, so meaning to say, if I follow this number of units, yet at the same time, my number of units that I built of 50 square meters and below, anything that's 50 square meters and below, right, capped at 20% of the total number of units. Very smart, huh? Yeah, so, and the 50 square meters exclude your aircon ledge and balcony spaces. It's net livable space. So if you add on your aircon ledge and your balconies, right, you'll probably be seeing 600 plus square feet and below units will be capped at a total of 20% for the whole development. So your 1 bedroom, 1 plus study, 2 compact, capped at 20% of total. You know how many, last time these few launches that we have been doing, right? I give you a study to visualize. 1 bedroom, 1 plus study, 2 compact, maybe up to 2 premium. Usually we form out about 60% of the whole development. So that is a very palatable entry level for people to buy. But now you take away the premium, your 2 compact and below capped at 20%. Okay, the impact may not be so huge at the new regulation because there are bigger units already. But if somebody is trying to play punk, like just now what we are thinking, how we can increase and then make more small units, you cannot also because they cap at 20% of the total units. Right? And they need you to achieve a minimum 20% of 100 square meters and above. So they want to see big units coming in. And this thing may be a very long-standing measure, not measure, they don't call it a measure, but this guideline may be a very long-standing suppression on the prices in Singapore or not. It will be a long-standing because the number of units that we face now from now on is going to be large units, a lot of the large units in the market, and very high chance developers may not going to bid for high price land already. Yeah, so this may be a very long-standing curb to the whole prices, and I think this is really very smart because your measures, no matter how you throw cooling measure, people got money, they just pay. Foreigners come in, they just pay. This one is they make the supply cut off first. Your demand also cut already from there. So is it good for us? It may be good for us because why? Now they are cutting the supply that's coming in. Your buyers have no choice. If they need to buy something, they need to buy within this current existing stock. Right? Year on, our demand will not change. People will upgrade, need to buy private property. People will need to get married and buy houses. And they have limited stock to choose from. Are you going to face the problem like you are facing in the past few years? the buyers see one already, want to see another 9 or 10, don't want to get back to you, right? Remember when we have fewer launches, your closing was a lot easier, your resale was a lot easier. Now, if they have cut the supply, you will face an easier conversion in future. So, okay, so that's something that we are seeing, which will be good for purchasers, good for us also, no good for developers. Based on now the PSF, the quantum, based on the land that was sold, that means whatever that's clocked in now already, okay, your prices will be, and they kena this guideline, your prices will be very high on, because your fundamental land price is already fixed, right? Right. So these few launches, your prices will be high, okay. I don't know what's going to happen, but we will monitor. But anything after that, your prices will not be high because will not be as high because they will not go in if the land is too expensive. Simple. They will just hold back. So your en bloc, moving forward, they will offer low ball pricing, and whether there's a match between the owners in the en bloc units, they can accept a lower price or they don't want. Then if there's a mismatch, a tug of war, a wait and see, right? The whole market will just stay for a while. There's no en bloc coming in. Then your GRS will start to sell.
But those 9 years one, which like Lakeside and some of the oldest one, they are reaching 60 or some even about 50 plus years old. The price will drop. Definitely will drop.
It will, but the problem is, over the past few years, everybody is just too brainwashed by the high en bloc prices, right? It will take some time. I don't think it will take too long. Maybe about 1-2 years, or maybe even less than that. Market, the en bloc may start to react according to accepting lower reserve price, accepting lower price. Because end of the day, for us to put en bloc in the market, we need 80% to agree to the reserve price that they have planned out. So they will probably, if they are desperately wanting to move, like you say, like those lesser and lesser lease, they will probably go in, talk, and convince people on a lower reserve price. Developers see there's a value to go in, they will probably go in. But it will take some time to react on this, because the problem about the market is that humans are not united, right? I want high, I want low, and if you don't hit the 80% when there's this struggle, you will never find an equilibrium. But sooner or later, I think over time, the herd instinct will come, people will react the same, then we will start to see the market start to move with more supply coming in again. But then again, it will still not be a lot. Because there are a lot of factors for the developers to think about now. Imagine I go and bid for one land. How many things I have to think about? I have to think about my increase of ABSD. I have to think about the number of units I can build later. I have to think about whether 5 years later can I sell. Well, almost every step of being a developer is being curbed by so many measures. And tell you, this thing will make, okay, don't say it over Zoom, but number of developers may also drop, I think. Really, if no land, if I have a whole department, a small developer, I got a whole company or whole department paying overheads, and 1 year I don't have any land to bid, I dare not bid, then how? It's a very scary thing. For them, for us, still okay. Okay, I haven't finished this. Okay, the 20% you understand, right? So the cap on 20% on the 100 square meter and cap on 20% on 50 square meter and below. And then of course, implementation. So like I say, when are they going to implement this? Is on or after 17 January 2019. Okay, so meaning to say, if anybody has a obtained PP, which is your provisional permission, if they obtain PP, what does it mean? In layman, a PP is when the developer get the land, they will sit down with the architect to say aggregation what they want. Architect will come up with the unit mix and the proposed sizes, and then they go and submit for provisional permission before they start planning for the rest. Understand? So if developers can do it fast, smaller developers can do it very fast. Within a month, they can get a PP out upon getting the land. Bigger developers, a bit hard, especially those very big developments, because there are a lot of red tapes to clear. You have to clear this until the top clear. If there's JV partner, you need to clear JV partner and everything. So those may delay. So if you see those fast turnaround launches, for example, at Oxley, their layers are very thin, right? So they turn around projects upon getting land within 9 months, they can launch because everything is fast, right? So I think they will probably speed up now. But you see, they always choose correct timing to come up with new guidelines. Coming end of the year already. All your URA, BCA officer may go on holiday, and they don't have a time that they promise they'll get back to you. So if they submit any PP now, it'll probably take a very long time for approval. Then immediately 17 January already. So you see, it's right after your holiday period. How far away from holiday? It's about 2 weeks. 2 weeks away, and that's it. The holidays will start. I tell you, the approvals will be slow also. So you see, everything is all timed very properly. So I believe a lot of people may not get this. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So this is a work example. Okay, a bit dry, but let's look at it. This one I took out from URA, so it will be accurate. So how is the thing going to be calculated? This one is an example of a residential plot of your plot ratio of 3.5, okay, outside your central region, which is in Woodlands, and with 5 units of strata landed units. Okay, so development site area, the land size is 2,000 square meters, right? And then your plot ratio is 3.5. So very simple is they take plot ratio times square, the total, they get a GFA. So your GFA here is 7,000 square meters, right? And then, of course, like I told you, right, just now, you have to take away your strata sizes to calculate the total number, maximum number of units. So what you have here is they have 5 strata landed of 200 square meter, so they must minus off 1,000 square meter. Right, so from here, the maximum number of units allowed will be square, the GFA minus strata total GFA divided by 85 square meters. The answer they get is 70.6, round down. Round down. So they don't follow the normal max from round down. So total number of units they can build is 70 units. Okay, so 70 units, I want you all to take note. This one a bit technical, but good for you all to know. 70 units are residential units, meaning to say it doesn't include your strata units. So when you are building your 1 to 4 bedroom, now based on this calculation, you only can build a total of 70 units. But how many more strata can you build from there? You can see down here, there's a fine print down here. Okay, so number 5 refers to non-landed units. So the total number of units you can build, including strata units, will be simply just taking the GFA. You don't minus away. GFA divide by this one. That's your total number of units, inclusive of your strata. Okay, so if I don't minus off strata space, I just take the GFA divide by 85, I will get a total of 82. 82. Okay, but now I have strata inside, I minus off strata, my residential unit is 70. So I can build how many? Maximum I can build another 12 strata units inside there. That is the calculation that they're doing. But it's impossible for you to build 12 strata units. Your GFA will go out already. Pow. Oh, okay. So far you understand this part? Understand? It's like mathematical class at it. Okay, so based on work example 2, you can see that for this one is a mixed commercial residential. Development site area is 1,600 square meters, right? And for a mixed D, your maximum commercial usage will be what? 40%. That's URA regulation. So your residential forms up a total of 60%, right? Because commercial usually they can earn a lot from there, right? So they max out at 40%. Your the plot ratio here is 3, and then from here your calculation is simple. You just have to take your plot ratio times your site area times 60% to get your residential plot. Okay, and then after that you just divide by 100 square meters because this one falls within your Juchet area. Okay, so total number of units is only 28. Okay, so this one doesn't seem interesting yet. Okay, this is just a normal calculation. Let's do a case study now. We do a case study to see. Any questions on this? All maths quite good. Yeah, it took quite long to understand. I was reading it. So what's the impact? Case study. We take Affinity at Serangoon to do a case study. So for example, in Affinity at Serangoon, right, I have a total of 1,052 units now. Okay, the development is 1,052. For easy calculation, I'm not taking into consideration of the strata units. Okay, so I have 1,052 units. My land size is 27,000 square meters. Plot ratio is 2.8. My GFA will work out to be about 77,000 square meters. I did a calculation at home, but I took it away because I don't want to confuse you all. So now my previous guideline, previously, my maximum number of units based on GFA divided by 70 square meters, I can build 1,103 units. So has Oxley fulfilled? They have, right? Because 1,052, I still got spare. They didn't fully maximize the thing because why? They got a lot of strata houses. That's why you reduce number of units already, right? So now based on the new guideline, okay, you can see that I take the GFA divided by 85. Okay, I will only be allowed to build 908 units. Can you see the drop is about 17.6% fewer units that I can build now. It is a huge number because out of 1,000 units that I'm supposed to have, I cut a total of about 100 units away from the development now. So are the sizes going to increase? It will sure increase. 200. Oh yeah, 200. Oh yeah, almost 200. Yeah. So that is the guideline you have for 70 to 85 square meter. The drop average in the number of units you will see is about 18%. The magical figure, 18% is the average. So you see 17.6 is quite accurate. And it's huge to this kind of developments. 200 units out from the market. It's huge, right? The density will improve. Everything will change. The number of sizes of units have to start increasing already to fulfill the GFA because number of units are lesser. You all see the impact now? Okay, then let's do a quick simulation again. So now I should be using, now I take it on current affinity because I want to just base it on, to be fair, because they didn't maximize out, right? So if I take 1052 minus 908 units, we are, wrong calculation. Let me see whether it affects the rest or not. Too late when I was doing this. Okay, okay, never mind. We don't look at this first. We look at this. Okay, we look at this because I think this one not important. Okay, this one not important. Huh? Correct? Why you all question me?
Confuse you.
Oh, okay, this one is because this is the maximum they can build. So now I'm doing a case study on what we have. What we have and what will happen if now we cannot the new ruling, okay? So you will lose a total of 144 units based on today's market. Okay, average size based on 1052 units, the average Oxley has achieved is 73 square meters. They fulfill the 70 square meters minimum, right? Okay, an increase in average size now, if I need to achieve a 85 minimum, minus 73, each unit averagely I need to increase by 129 square feet. Is it an average? So if I pull up and down, 12 square meters by 129 square feet. Average across all the units. Every single unit averagely I need to increase by 129 square feet. I took a very simple calculation. If I take affinity as 1,300 per square foot they're selling, every unit on the average has to go up by 167,000. It doesn't, yeah. It's going to be a lot more, yeah. So you see, I'm doing just a very conservative average calculation. Your buyers will know that they have to commit something now already, because if they wait for new launches that are coming out in future, because everybody tell you, I got so many launches, I take my time to wait. Now this thing will have to corner them a bit already. Okay, but of course, for smaller units, of course, it won't be 129 square meters, right? The increase is lesser, but you average out, the larger units are going to, the impact can be quite huge. So let's do a second study. We do a second study on the 9 zones, the 9 zones one. So far, you understand? So should buy or not now? Buy. Should sell or not? You should sell already. Hey, really, you need to rush already. This 3 months faster go already. You end off the year properly. I don't go for holidays first, postpone. No. Oh, battery is running low. Okay, we do a case study on ENRICH Hill residences. This one, I also took it as example because developer was using this to teach. Total units in ENRICH now is 548 units. Your land size is 29,000. Plot ratio is 1.4. Your GFA is 41,000. Okay, so based on previous guideline, because this was not even in the 4 areas, right? So based on previous guideline, your ENRICH Hill can build a total of 593 units if I divide by 70 square meters. But did they fulfill? They fulfill also, because why? A lot of strata units, a lot of strata landed inside, right? So they built fewer. Based on this new one, it's going to be a killer, because this one jumped into 100 square meters. Your total GFA divided by 100, you only can build 415 units instead of 593. Your percentage drop in number of units in the area is 30%. It's huge impact, this one. So that means if Oxley was a bit slower, that's it. Really, that's it. They have to really get back their GDV, that means the total amount they want to make from it by increasing the prices across all the units already, right? The sizes. Oh yeah, maybe. I think they're all scrambling already. So again, we do a total study. Now 548 minus 415, we lose about 133 units, right? Based on the average size in Kenrich Hill, did we achieve? We achieved as well 76 square meters, still within the 70 square meters. So for now, if I take 100 minus 76 square meters, the new average increase in size, just now was 129, right? Now average increase per unit has to be 258 square feet. It's crazy, 258 square feet, that is about 2 rooms. Right, 1 room is about 100 square feet, right? 2 rooms increase. So increase in purchase price, if you take about 1,007 for Kenrich Hill, the average they have to top up per unit is about 400,000 extra. So if somebody really go out there to really address to the buyers in the market, I think Kenrich maybe will fly on. Really, because there's so much potential to come in the area. But then there's a problem also. Honestly speaking, we can tell that to buyers, but you think about it also, because Pasir Panjang area now has the land all launched already. So in future, your en bloc may not even happen as much already. You get what I mean? So the potential may cut also. So there's a lot of weighing things to see, a lot of wait and see. So the market, we're still watching a bit. Okay, we move on. What are the other implications? So we just listed down a few points. I want you all to digest these few points and see how you want to play around your marketing, because your plus the Zoom people, 300 old people, brain working on your all this king you king is better than I king alone. So you all will come up with new solutions and what area you should target. If you are willing to share with us, we consolidate again and tell you all what are the things we should be looking out for. Okay, so for now let's look. So of course, obviously, your average unit sizes will increase after that 17 January. Okay, quantum will increase because of high fundamental land cost. You understand? So what I show you is the land cost is already fixed there already. For the existing, I think about 60 over more lands or 50 over more lands that are not launched yet. Okay, this one is fixed there. So you will have a higher quantum. Okay, you will have limited compact size units after implementation. So that's why I put here buy the low-lying fruits now, because there will be a limited edition shoebox units now. Really, unless somebody come up with a new solution. So for now, I will say that it's a lot more attractive for small units because not so many really. So in future, when you want to sell, buyers want to buy smaller units, they only got limited options to choose from. Because I will also cut away the older ones, because as long as the older ones are getting older and older, they are out of radar and people are looking at the new batch. So if you are purchasing the new launch now, the small units, you will belong to the cream of the crop of the small units that are limited. You get what I mean? Because the rest are old, people may not want. After rental, after a while, people may not want to go in already. So the new ones now are like your Affinity, your Riverfront, a lot, even Tapestry, all the small units are the best to grab, because end of the day, they will sit right at the top as the top choice for people to buy after that or rent. You know what I mean? Okay, so buyers with limited budget may be priced out after that. What will happen is some of them may have to move into the resale market, right? So that's why I say the limited edition units are going to be attractive before prices start to increase again. Okay, somebody will start to play around with the prices. So your buyers may shift from the new launch part to go and buy resale on a lower price. Some of them may even have to push themselves back to HDB. I mean, that's honest, right? If I only squeezing myself to buy a 1-bedroom, I may push off to buy HDB. So now, more importantly, if we have these slides up and we are rushing our calculator out, to be honest, if you have a buyer who is holding on to HDB, if they're holding on HDB and they have a lot of value inside the HDB, right? If they can sell and split name to go and buy one resale for homestay and one investment for 1-bedroom, you knowing that it will not be existing anymore, they should do it now already. They should not be waiting. You get what I mean? Really. So if y'all can start to structure your clients to go out there and grab all the small units to hold on to it for the time being, because the measures are going to deplete this stock. If they want to wait longer, they will tell you, I know I can get 2 units now, but I'll wait. If they wait longer, really, they don't see this kind of units. That's it already. You all understand? So really go out there, start to talk to your clients and tell them, hey, you all know that the latest URA regulations actually may have quite a huge impact on the market, and what I have planned for you. if you haven't planned anything, you better go and talk to him already. Say, let me come down and talk to you and tell you how you should capitalize on this. Is the Chinese saying of the 危机 every time there's a new thing that come out, opportunities will rise on. So use this as a reason to go and speak to them, update them on the URA thing, and then tell them that they should start looking out because it's limited. I can tell you, buyers will believe what you say because these are facts. Yep. Out. Yeah. So your MV, your Margaret View that we have appointed, these units must go and grab already out of the region. So that's why it falls out of your normal CCR or your OCR. Sterling, MV, all these are all going to be super attractive. Really, grab. You will think that there are a lot of stock in the market, but I tell you, it's not enough to go around the number of investors you have in the market. Okay, the next one you have is your rental yield in future will be diminished also because you will be buying bigger size units. 2-bedroom used to be this size, but you will be buying maybe 100 square feet bigger 2-bedroom. And it doesn't necessarily mean that your rental will be increased by that proportion. So your rental yield will start to drop. So now what happened is smaller size units, if you're holding it for long term, you will be fetching good rental yield across. But the larger units in future, your rental yield may start to drop a bit. You get what I mean? So this future, in the future planning, you also need to look at this. Okay, and I wrote here the further subdue the en bloc market with low or no offers or no or lower offers. So like just now, we were discussing, right? What will happen is, especially in Cambridge, if they don't get a good price for en bloc, they will not go in, especially in the 9 zones. The 9 zones, if I don't get a good price, I'll not go in. My PSF must be low enough so that I can build better quantum units and buyers will purchase. If my PSF after my en bloc is going to be high, I'm just shooting myself in the foot. I will suffer and I'll pay the penalty. Nobody will go in already, you get what I mean? So outside the area, the impact is still quite huge. Don't forget, just now I mentioned, from now, the 85 square meters minimum size is about what? 600 to 650 square feet. Based on simulation of developers, these can adjust accordingly. 100 square meters area, minimum size is 800 to 850 square meters. If my price is not right, I will not go in. You see how, okay, based on trend of all new launches, right? We sell your 1-bedroom and 2 bedrooms the fastest. The 3 bedrooms are always the last to clear, right? You realize? So developers know this trend themselves. So if I'm going to get a high price and stuck with a lot of 3 bedrooms at a high price, I'll suffer big time. Okay. Then, wait. Okay, so the 9 special areas, I just wrote here as a note for you all to take note is that there will be less chance of oversupply, which is good for your buyers. So your buyers who wants low density, I want to go home, don't want to see too many cars, push them to buy into the 9 zones because you will not have oversupply. They're cutting about 30% of units inside there. So it's good. But then again, this one is for you to take note, like I mentioned, because you are based on 100 square meters, your en bloc may not be as attractive to developers anymore. So it's still a give and take. It's a seesaw. So these are considerations you can do. You see human, you talk about human language. You see ghost, you talk ghost language. So you see what you want to use. I'm just giving you all the information, okay? Okay, so this, I know it's a bit dry. This is the first part of the guideline. I have 2 more guidelines which are shorter. Before I move on to the next 2 guidelines, you all have any questions on this? I think quite clear, right? We went through quite detailed to show you what are the implications. So I also told you what are the trends coming forward based on this. It may change if developers start to react differently. You have to really go and reach out to your buyers, cash out for them of the wealth they've accumulated in their whatever houses they're holding on to, and bring them and give them the opportunity to go and buy a limited edition compact unit now. Because you enjoy higher rental yield than the rest, you will at least give your chance to own a nice investment unit as compared to next time you are going to be priced out. You see, with these new developments, I can tell you, if the 1 bedrooms are all priced higher, there's no more new 1 bedrooms coming in, your restructuring of buyers may not happen anymore. You understand? You know the sell 1, buy 2 and your portfolio restructuring, right? It's possible because you have high quantum and low quantum. With these new guidelines, your entire plan of your structuring may be gone altogether again already. You see, because I can buy 1 big combined, but I may not have small units to buy anymore already, unless you go into a resale site. So if your buyers want new launches, you have to tell them this. You need to chase. I don't think the market is reacting fast enough yet. Agents are not reacting fast enough also. So let's be the first to enter into a market, react fast, end off the last 8 weeks properly, start off the next year well also with this direction and go forward. Okay. Next, second one. I know you're hungry and sleepy, right? Wake up too early, but ending already. So second guideline is revision to your balcony incentive scheme for private non-landed developments. Okay. So what does this mean? Okay. So previously, you know, when I'm capped at this total GFA, right? When I'm capped at this total GFA, is permitted by is permissible by URA. So in order for me to build, everybody quite distracted. 因为我听到你讲 quantum 也是，所以蛮大声的。Okay, so very simple. Previously, it was a 10% permissible increase from your permitted GFA. Meaning to say, your plot ratio times land size, this is the GFA, right? You are allowed to pay DC to achieve another extra 10% bonus development charge. Okay, even though I'm paying for 10%, it is still worth it because I'm selling it at a higher PSF later. So developers will pay for the extra 10%, the development charge, to increase their plot ratio, their GFA by another 10%, right? So that is for your outdoor spaces, your private outdoor spaces. So now, this new guideline, what is the change here? You will still pay for your 10%, but you are only allowed to utilize 7% of the extra GFA. Okay, wow. So same price, but you only can use 7%. But you still can get to use up to 10% if you achieve your green mark bonus GFA, or you increase or you include the indoor recreation space bonus of 1%, which I'll talk about. That's the third guideline. Okay, but naturally what will developer do is now they will have to pay 10% extra based on DC, 10% extra, they gain already so that they can build balconies and all these things in, right? But they only can utilize up to 7%. If they want to hit and fully utilize the 10%, the extra 3, they need to hit green mark. And green mark will increase their construction costs because they have to, a lot of things they have to pass on, and their construction costs will increase. So this, in the end, okay, so what will happen is, okay, you still need to take note about this, is the current practice of the extra 10%, it doesn't add into your potential to sell off next time. Your GFA is still fixed at the GFA. Even though you paid for the 10%, next time when they on block, it's not included inside. Understand? So it's just give government inside. Very smart, huh? Really, I'm really quite amazed by the... Okay, so why are they doing this? Okay, so other than that, there are a few more guidelines inside. Your balcony size is only limited and capped at 15% of the net internal area. Now we are waiting. We'll give about 2 minutes for the Zoom people to enter. You want to ask some questions now? If you want to ask, you can ask now. Residential. Yes. Only for residential. Because commercial not moving, I think they don't want to do anything to it. Commercial industrial still slow now. Yeah. Really, so on our end, what we will do is we will most likely be implementing these slides. We will most likely be implementing these slides into a lot of our project kits, so that when you are serving buyers inside there, you can push the 1 and 2. And the good thing is, every 1 and 2 that you sell now, easily you can be making about maybe 15 to 20,000 for even a 1-bedroom, right? Because like Affinity, your 1-bedroom is about 600,000 times about 3.2%, you are making about 18 to 20,000. There's a lot of money to be made now. So that's why I want you all to know about this to find an angle to sell. Are we on? Yep. We're on already? Need to clear fast.
No, it's in the developer, as a developer review, the big thing is once this hit 25%,
yes, yes, you're right. But they may react, yeah, across all. Yeah.
The whole property market on its head, man.
Wait for a few more participants to be in. We are about 30 plus. Just now, how many were in, you know? Okay. Sorry?
Someone drew.
Oh, really? Hey.
Someone had it.
Yeah. I think someone from other agency just logged in. 53. Okay, start. Okay. We'll resume. We'll resume our training. Okay, later I'll just do a very quick summary of what I've talked about, the trends again. And then I also maybe, because just now I was outside, David also mentioned he's thinking how we can pitch to buyers easier, because when you go into so detail, they'll probably not understand what you're talking about. Okay, so later I'll just bring out some key points on how you can pitch to your buyers also. Like I mentioned just now, for Zoom users, we will be fast to implement all these slides to provide you support across all the show flats you enter. We will train our taggers to be talking about this also. So all you need to do is just to know the basic, attract them to go to the show flat. We will do the killing inside. I also mentioned that now the trend, you have to sell your 1 and 2, right? And I also said affinity or 1 bedroom, 600,000, you easily can make about maybe 18,000 to 20,000 com already. So this is a very huge window of opportunity for you to lock in more income for yourself before you go on your Europe holidays. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, like I mentioned, this is still on the second guideline, the revised one. So what I talked about was the 10 and 7%. They either improve the value, the quality with green mark for developers to fully maximize the 10% of the bonus GFA. Okay, or they have, when they reduce this thing, what will happen? From 10 to 7, if they don't want to go for green mark, means the amount of space they will use for balcony will reduce. So moving forward, you may find developments that will have options with balconies or without balconies also. You get what I mean? So maybe you have your smaller units that don't come with balcony. Okay, because again, they have, you know, when they come out with guidelines, they trap you every angle. Okay, so now you have lesser space for lesser bonus GFA to build balconies. What they do is, yeah, at the same time, they are capping the entire balcony space to be 15% of the internal area. So meaning to say, you won't find developments that have balconies as big as your living area anymore. Now you see a lot, right? Sometimes balconies even bigger than living area, really a lot.
50%.
Yeah, so now capped at 15% of net internal area, meaning your aircon ledges, all these things are all excluded out. Okay, and in order for them to build more livable, usable balconies, they have a ruling now that from your external building wall, you have to build minimum 1.5 meters away. So now you won't find those, you know, those very small planter, you can stand there, but you cannot use it. Right? All developments, you have this, right? So now you don't have, you have a minimum of 1.5 meters. And how wide is 1.5 meters? 1.5 meters is usually in your corridor of your condo, door to door. The corridor is usually about 1.5 meters, right? So that is the space that you get to use. Yet developers will not build very big. So you will have real quality balcony spaces moving forward. And this is a plus point for buyers also. Okay? Okay, so this one is not really important, but just so you know that all this while we have these pre-approved balcony screens that by URA that you can build, right, the screens and everything. Moving forward, they are requiring developers to show these pre-approved balcony screens in the show units. So you have a very clear idea. So you all went to Bukit 828, you all saw the balcony screen, the foldable one. So these are things that will be shown. So what you are going to see are really live actual units that you will be buying into. Okay, and these are the implications like I mentioned. So I recap for this second guideline. Developers previously are allowed to increase their permissible GFA by 10%, payable via your DC, your development charges. Okay, with the new guideline, they will still pay for the 10% increment in GFA, but they only can utilize up to 7%. In order for them to fully achieve the 10%, they can either get a green mark bonus GFA scheme, or they can add in the indoor communal space one, which is the third guideline. Okay, so but I also mentioned not all developers will go for green mark because there are a lot of pointers to hit, a lot of factors, a lot of criteria to hit, and they will increase your construction costs also, right? Okay, so like you see, trap everywhere, and okay, then again, remember all additional bonus GFA will not form your future development potential of the site. And the two things that I mentioned just now, it will better proportion your homes with balconies of greater utility. You can use it better because of the 1.5 meters clearance, and you will have more choice units with or without balconies in future. Okay, can and then we go to the third one. This is the one that we have been talking, the bonus GFA scheme for indoor recreation spaces. Okay, what do I mean by that? If you see, okay, let's see the guideline first. So what they do now is they have a new scheme that provides a bonus GFA cap at 1%. Okay, so what were this? What you realize recently, in the recent years, right? You see developments that have a lot of alfresco dining, a lot of outdoor gym. Developers are very smart because all this, when it's outdoor, is not considered GFA. So their GFA, they are leaving behind for spaces that they can sell. If I'm going to build a library, air condition is a GFA, but I cannot sell it. So I'm losing money in that sense. So developers tweak around until now they come up with what, alfresco dining. So many alfresco pavilion, instead of the barbecue, you got barbecue pavilion or alfresco outdoor pet area. Very nice lifestyle, right? But actually it's a very smart way. They are just saving their GFA to charge people and not put it in communal spaces. So URA saw this also. That's how tightly they are tracking the entire market. So now what they do is they encourage developers to build more of these usable facility spaces, right? So that's why they give a bonus 1% GFA for you to build, because you have 7%, you still have 3% to utilize, right? So you don't want to do green mark, you pay, anyway you already paid for the DC, you will have one more additional % to build indoor communal spaces. Okay, so what you will see is, moving forward, you will find developments with probably more air conditioner spaces, like bigger gyms, maybe more function rooms, which is good for lifestyle. This one really doesn't impact our sales too much, but just to update you in case your buyers ask you. Okay, so let's do so for example, this is what we took from URA. Your total GFA is 100%, right? So you can add up a 10%, a 1% down here. Sorry, this is the 1% that you can add on for your indoor communal space, and then the minimum that you can use is 0.6. Okay, so this one actually not really important. I will just skip this and I'll show you the implications. So implications will be simple. I do a case study on ENRICH. So my GFA is 41 square meters, right? 41,000 square meters. I add on the bonus 1% GFA. I have about 415 square meter additional for indoor communal space. What is a 415 square meter? It's about the size of a basketball court, right? So I will have one more big space, or maybe split into 2 or 3 air conditioner space, so that people get better usage of the facility even when it's raining. So it's weatherproof, right? So you expect more indoor facilities in future developments. With this thing, you realize what you have is lower density, because you don't have a lot of, you cut your number of units in the development by 18 to 30%, right? So you have lower density, but more indoor communal space. So it is a very nice thing to look at. But again, this entire curve, developers are the one that will be being hit the most. Buyers will benefit, agents will most likely benefit from it also. Okay, so let me sum up this entire thing. These 3 parts is the end already. These are the 3 guidelines all together. You realize the first one has the biggest impact. Second and third one will most likely give you easier, better reasons to sell with better developments next time. Okay, so if we focus on the first one, like I mentioned, the first one, what is the trend we will be seeing forward? Let me just sum up this. We will call it a day already. Okay, so the first part, what we will be seeing is that your 1 and 2 bedrooms, like I mentioned, will be limited edition. Okay, if you need to tell the buyers, all you need to tell them is that, hey, do you hear of the latest the URA guidelines? You know that they have reduce the number of dwelling units to improve lifestyle, right? So you have to just tell them that a very layman example is if it's a 85 square meters ruling, right? Your minimum size that you will see will most likely be from about 600 to about 650 square feet, right? Your 100 square meter ruling in the 9 zones, your minimum size you will see for units will be from about 800 to about 850 square feet. So with that, you know that these developments around here, you will not have your 400 plus, which they call the shoebox, and the 500 plus. So if you really want to achieve, because in order for commoners, most of the people, for them to want to have wealth creation through property, instead of just buying one, staying in it, selling and buying another one, you don't have wealth creation in the area, right? Because you're always selling high, buying high. So in order for you to kickstart your entire wealth creation, you need to take action now of the existing stock. Because you at least have small units that you can afford for investment, yet you can still buy one for homestay. Okay, because moving forward, when all this go into the secondary market, you won't be able to achieve that anymore, right? Now, of course, on the other hand, if you get it now, you will have better rental yield across the years because you are holding on to a small units. I read it somewhere that the number of small, below 500 square feet units in Singapore, I read it somewhere is about 21,000 units in all, in Singapore, 21,000. So actually 21,000 is really limited. I don't know, I don't know whether this figure I remember wrongly or not, but it's a total of about 21,000, which is that limited that's left. So moving forward, I think if you can start to share this news, take this opportunity to call up your buyers, call up your owners, call up the HDB people that you are selling their properties for, you need to start talking about this, okay, so that you entice them to let them know that this is a now or never thing already, right? Use this window opportunity to start to make money from it. Okay, so I think I've come to an end. I will just go back to the implications. Okay, so this will probably sum up all the implications on the first guideline that we have. I just want you all to go and read through again and start to, we'll send all these slides and start to use it to your advantage. Okay, you all got any questions? We take some questions now.
For the last one, regarding the communal space.
Yep.
So like current developments that we have gym, right?
Yes.
So those gyms are really considered inside the GF area.
Yes.
Now they are giving you an additional 1%, right? So how would that really affect? Because they already do a gym. So in the future, the 4,000, if I do the gym using that additional 1%, right? It will mean that the remaining 100% of my GF can be used for building apartments. I don't have to locate out my 100%. So there's a 1% extra. Does that really increase the number of like external community?
Big chill. Yeah, Ginny.
What happens that in the past, right, there's actually 100%.
Yeah.
So we'll max out from developer's point of view, I'll make as much as possible to our local area, so that I can make out my GDP, right? So actually a lot of people find they're very stingy with it. They notice nowadays the gym and are very small because all these things. So now it's 1% into it, right? So you might not have to do the way of how you gym.
No.
It's how the
On top, extra.
provide common
Okay, I think this is what I understand from Ken. Means to say that whatever you need to be reviewed, right? But if you want to attain the 10%, right? For if you either do the green mark or you do the 1% additional indoor space. So the 1% actually is a bonus given, correct?
Yep.
And then you can do whatever you want with it, but the 1% must be indoor space.
Correct.
Minimum of 0.6.
Yep.
You have to use either 0.6 to 1 is also indoor space.
Yeah.
Correct?
So yeah, you're right. Yeah. So repeat the question of Alan. What he's saying that if, for example, now I already have this 100% GFA I'm using, I am taking a bit out to build my indoor communal space because I need to provide good facilities to sell my development. So now that I have this additional 1%, I will max out my 100% GFA to sell, and then I'll use that 1% to build, right? So that's his question. So in big developments, he's asking whether will this help to increase the indoor communal space? Yes, because, okay, this one, I really don't know how to answer you. but I also agree with what Ginny said. Ginny said that for smaller developments, for example, like 38 Carmel. Yes. Yep.
So with this, anyway, there's this free 1% GFA. So I myself, in the past, I try to remind the once I figure out the common area, that my sellable area will reduce. So when I sellable reduce, like my GDP will reduce, unless I increase my so usually they will count.
Yes.
So now that this is free, I myself provided the only cost I have to use.
Okay, I know how to answer this already because I remembered, because it comes in. Because I remembered when I was doing the GFA planning and pricing with developers at the time, there is never one point of time you can achieve 100% sellable GFA one. Because of the configuration of the units and the sizes that you build, right? They will try and maximize. So the best we have seen of a GFA sellable, we are always achieving about 90%. And usually that's the max. You cannot hit 100 unless you so zun until you hit. Yeah.
You able to in the past before 2012, before they kept on terrace,
yep.
before they kept on private and close space, right? So we can achieve up to like 137, 120.
Yep.
Usually we can do about 110.
Yep.
But after they come out
yes.
regulations, right? When they actually when they don't allow roof terrace, private and closed space as free space and it's almost impossible to have efficiency.
Yes. Last time they really have a free bonus GFA one where they use it for roof terraces and everything. So like from 2012 onwards, you pay for it. So you pay for the extra 10%. So with DC, right? So with this current situation, so far all these years, we have never been able to achieve a full 100%. So once I max out whatever I can build according to the plans that I have for units, I probably will have a balance of, say, assuming 10% of the GFA that I cannot sell on. Then that's where I use it to build the gyms and everything. So now on top of that, I have an additional 1%. Since I will pay for the 10% to increase my balcony GFA, right? I will use the extra 1% to build again, to fully utilize the thing.
So you use it for reverse calculation, right? For example, let's say you take 100%, then 10%, and additional 1%, and do a reverse calculation to maximize the out ratio, means you can do more dwelling space.
Cannot. Because your bonus GFA of the 10% is not for dwelling spaces. Your dwelling spaces is only based on the maximum GFA that you have.
Correct.
So bonus GFA.
You will never ever hit 100%, so you can actually do a reverse.
That one maybe. But that one, yeah. Oh yeah. Developer.
Experience.
Yeah. Common spaces, your lift lobbies and all this, yeah. Yep. Okay. Questions? You should be excited about this new ruling. Really, you should be excited about it. I am. I am. At least there's a new urgency to push inside. Really, because previously with so much stock coming in and a lot of options for buyers to choose from, right? They really can wait and see. The existing stock that we have will probably last us for another year and a half. So what is the trend we see from developers? Just now there were some questions asked, right? We will probably see your PSF dropping. Your quantum may still be higher because there's a very big difference of this square meters thing. Why PSF will drop for the future land that's coming in is because developers will be very cautious when they bid for land. So just now there was a question whether will it affect the government land sales, the GLS. It will still affect because for all GLS, there's a hidden reserve price that is not known to developers. So what they will do is with this thing, you will see very cautious bidding by developers on GLS land. And as the competition is not so much, right? Instead of like 13, 15 bidders, you will probably see maybe 3, 4, 5 bidders coming in because they will use their bullet very carefully, right? So when the competition is not so much, you will see bidding not as aggressive. Your GIS prices also will not spike up too high. If not, when the competition is high, you are seeing your GIS probably bidding, the first bidder hitting maybe about a good 20, 30% above the last bidder. Now you'll probably see a very close, cautious bidding where the difference is only a single-digit percentage, we don't know, right? So just now also somebody asked, if GLS reserve price is not hit, can government not sell you the land? They can. So one of the case happened before. They bidded way below the the reserve price. Only one bidder. Government took it back. They didn't sell the land at all. And then they resold the land after that. They make tons of money again. Right? So again, to think forward a bit so that you can go into discussion sake with your buyers. If somebody wants to go into they'll ask you, for example, what will happen if now the land sales are subdued? Okay, en bloc is totally almost blocked off in all areas, right? I believe it's always a chess game. They can tweak any measures to make the market move on. So for example, if I always believe one thing is that our government will never allow Singapore to become like Hong Kong, where you have very old buildings standing all around. Okay, so when the developments are getting old and if the en bloc market is still subdued, actually they can easily just tweak the en bloc regulation from 80 to 70% so that people are willing to take in at lower price. En bloc will still happen. So these are future things that they can tweak along the way, because can you see how much ammo they have to play? The armory of the government is so huge. URA regulations, ABSD, the en bloc regulations. There are so many things they can do with it. And I would say now they have probably not maximized. They have turned on and activated a lot of cornering on developers now, because the boo doesn't want to listen to MAS, that's what they say it, right? And the boo is caused by developers that are coming in. Yeah. So question. Okay, the question asked by Brandon is there a chance that developers will pass on costs to consumers like what they have been doing since Singaporeans typically just close eye and buy? Okay, meaning to say, what he's asking is that will they just not care about the prices that are going out, and then they just continue to sell so that buyers will buy, they will still make the money and price will still increase? This one is an equilibrium. I think it's a natural market equilibrium that will not happen, because to be honest, even in today's market, developers are already very cautious with what price they are going out at. I give you a case study, for example, will be Whistler Grand. Right? Whistler Grand land price is at 800 plus per square feet. Right? We expected them to launch at about maybe that 1,500, 1,600. But what they have hit out into the market is a start-off launch price that is the same as your Twin View and about the same as your Park Riviera. So they are hitting out the market almost at cost just to move the units first. But you can see the reaction is still not very strong. End of the day, the risk that is taken on in this industry, the biggest risk is still the developers. Because to be honest, they are throwing in hundreds and millions and a lot of loans that are taken. Profit margin now falls down to almost single digit. So that means I'm throwing in so much money. Last time our profit margin, we are seeing about maybe 20%, 20 plus percent, 10 plus percent. Now you are probably seeing that 7, 8%, right? They are seeing very low single digit profit margin. So the risk is too big for them to bear. If they can start, you see, when we play with developers, you start off the project. There are some projects, they start off with very high margin that they want to earn. And these projects, I don't want to mention, you all will know. So when they throw up with very high margin to earn, they get a very bad launch sales take-up. The press start to take it on, your entire project will be gone already. It's very hard for you to resuscitate the entire project again. So developers always like to kick off fast, get good press, everybody come in and see, take-up rate is good. Then from there, they slowly start to increase their price. So answering to Brandon's question is that developers will not dare to Because buyers nowadays are not really waiting and buy without seeing one. They are watching the market quite closely also. So I think developers will not risk by just blindly throwing out high prices, get stuck. 5 years later, their tax is going to be crazy. It's really crazy. So I think no lah. We are already seeing developers starting to react on lower prices already now. Really, lower prices or increased comp. That's why I say this thing, the measures that come in, y'all shouldn't be scared. Y'all should be happy. Really, because lower prices benefit buyers, right? Higher comp, you see how Oxley has given the ENRICH. They increased from, by right, 1.7%. Now they increased to 2%. On a launch comp, 2%. And they push back the launch by 1 more week so that they can use this 2% to garner more people coming in. So this is the trend, a start of a trend that you'll probably see with this new curve coming in. Next year, moving on with the new launches coming up, you will see this trend. Low start-off price to grab as many buyers as they can, and then higher comp to attract agents to come in to fight. So the market will be very rosy for us next year, as in for sales, really, because you don't have to compete based on speed and get low comp. Now you can run at your pace and get high comp along the way. You get what I mean? So even like you see A. St. Thomas, all these units, they are already increased up to how much? 4%, 4% comp already, right? So that is the thing you will start seeing, and is finally the market that we have been waiting for. It's coming back again. There was a period of about 7-8 months where we saw a holiday period of high comp, all clear already, nothing much. Then now it's back again. So yeah, you all should start really focusing and work and milk as much as you all can. Are there any more questions on? No. Don't have any. Okay, so with that, we just covered 2 hours. I thank you for your attention.